Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 145 and we're your hosts Jake
And Matt,
here to run you through all the events of Matchday 8 in Serie A.
you heard us say last week, well, the week before rather, before the international break, that the refereeing decisions have just been perfect up until this moment. Well, they've just gotten a hell of a lot worse. We're here to discuss all of that, but not without mentioning our goal of the week first, which we had to give it to Bonnie for Parma against Como for that delicious back heel, didn't we?
It was an amazing team move as well. That's what separated this goal from the rest as well. The fact that you had Almqvist charging down and hits you with a really quick, subtle no-look pass, like just like it's so pointless, but I love it.
It's so pointless.
So pointless.
Bro. But it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, and then Bonnie's finish was a beautiful piece of improvisation.
It blows my mind that the guy is just 20 years of age, man. He really is. I don't feel like there's enough hype about him. Particularly because he's so intelligent. He's a really intelligent player, a really instinctive striker as well, really good with his back towards goal. I think next season, one of the top teams could pick him up, because just 20 years of age, wow, what a talent.
Potentially, they could even pick him up and leave him there on loan for another season. That might be wise as well,
Yeah.
Of course, this week was a tough decision because of the spectacular goals we saw.
So
We saw
many.
Lautaro's rocket. Was a great goal. Retegui's little chip, a dying art of the chip. We saw Pinamonti's Camarda-esque header. Yes, indeed.
Yes, sir.
What a header that was. That was a pure striker's goal.
Amazing. That could easily be the goal of the week, in my opinion.
That's right,
A header like that. You know what ruined it? Took his top off and he had the bralette.
Yeah, the bra, yeah.
The bralette ruins it.
It's true, it kills the scenes completely.
At least rip that off as well.
Yeah, take off your bra while you're at it. Colpani opened his account for Fiorentina.
And it was actually his second goal of the night that took the cake over here. Delicious volley into the top corner.
Off a rebound. It was a ferocious strike. He really meant it.
And it was a rebound because he struck the first one so poorly.
Yeah, exactly.
Cataldi had a free kick, a great free kick. He also scored 2 in that game. Viola had a free kick, a powerful free kick. Past Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. He went to the sides like, you see that fucking 6'7" goalkeeper. I'm going to strike the ball right at him. Hit it so hard, hit it so true that it was a brilliant goal. Dani Mota scored an amazing goal as well. Dani Mota, it was the volley as well on a tight angle into the far corner.
I love this player, man.
Right?
Dani Mota.
Right.
He's amazing. I've said before that he's built for moments like this. He's been at the team since their time in Serie A. He is just an amazing story all around. And the fact that he's improved his level, his team grew and he grew with it,
Exactly.
From back then, I think the only player who's still on the team is Machine as well, if he's even still there. We haven't seen him in a while.
We haven't.
Yeah.
Central midfielder.
Exactly.
To be fair, because Bondo has been doing a fantastic job
really
at
has.
Monza as
He
well.
really
The
has.
season Monza, looking much better under Nesta nowadays. Their first win of the season. And I believe Mota scored twice in this game. Did he score twice in this game?
No, but yes, he did.
Yes,
he did.
That's
Yes.
my game. I should have said it with my chest.
Absolutely.
But we're about to discuss everything, including some horror. I said that we're going to discuss the refereeing decisions. You know us, we don't get too much into those, but I think there are some elephants in the room that we need to discuss this week, because some calls were just weird and inconsistent. So some calls were consistent and some were really inconsistent.
Some were straight up contradictory.
Literally, fucking straight up weird. I will run you through the Champions League fixtures of this week. We've already had Milan 3, Club Brugge 1. Club Brugge got a red card in the first half half, which really helped Milan run away with the game. And then Camarda did come on and score a spectacular header, which had everyone was crying. Everyone was crying. Unfortunately, it was a centimeter and a half offside, so it crushed his dreams. But that is what I call an uncancelable goal. They can cancel it from there. They can't cancel it from here. Camarda. Let's go, bro. There was Villa 2, Bologna 0. Villa are off to a flying start. 3 wins on the trot. They top the Champions League Group League, so to say.
Group League. That makes sense.
Juve 0, Stuttgart 1 was probably the shock of the round. Great win by Stuttgart, and this is where Juve struggling to score goals could really bite them in the ass. Tonight we'll also see Young Boys against Inter. Obviously Inter going up against Young Boys. Twente versus Lazio. Roma versus Dynamo Kiev, and St. Gallen versus Fiorentina.
Basically Fiorentina playing their next newly generated team.
Yeah, exactly.
They've played some weird teams in the past few years. On the Juve game, man, Juve did get a red card. Danilo got sent off and he gave away a penalty, and Perin saved that penalty at the end.
In the 84th minute, so it's not like Juve lost because of the red card.
But they
still
had
6 minutes to play.
But they did have a penalty because of that, and Perin saved it phenomenally and had a really good game all round.
Man of the match.
Man of the match. And then at the very end, it was El Bilal Toure, who we know from Atalanta, of course.
From Atalanta. We know him from Milan, bro. No, El Bilal. My God. I mixed him up with Balotelli.
Balotelli got sent off in Serie A for Milan Futuro. That levels. So El Bilal Toure, knocked the ball past Kalulu brilliantly and just finished violently into the top corner past Perin for the win.
So that's El Bilal Toure. I thought it disappeared off the face of the earth.
He wanted more regular game time, I believe.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You won't get that in a Gasperini
he saw Retegui in training and he's like, there's no way I'm playing here.
Yeah. Michael Lockhart brought up a good point. Shout out Mike, one of our amazing patrons, resident Atalanta fan. He brought up, would Scamacca and Retegui be a good duo? I've never even considered the two up front together. Probably only for the Euros it crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind for Atalanta. What a pair that would be.
It's true,
because a good way for Lukman to go to PSG.
Because Scamacca would make a very ideal second striker because his technique is very good.
Yeah.
And Retegui could do a lot of running and pressing for him as well. That would be interesting. I think. I wonder if the attacking midfielder would be good enough. In that case, it would be Samardzic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that would work, but we'll see. I'm sure Gasperini will cook something up.
Yeah. Do you want to jump to this week in Serie A, my brother?
Yes, so this week in Serie A, Totti has said that Serie A clubs have contacted him to play for them. He went on to add that it would take him 2 months to be ready. Please note, he is 48 years old.
I mean, who's contacting, bro, at this point?
You think it's Lecce on the phone? It's Gotti going, please.
Bro, knowing Milan's history, and come on, Totti's a one-club man. I mean, unless it's like an MLS team or a Serie B, Serie C team.
He specifically said Serie A clubs. No, of course.
Totti.
I just read
Why
this.
You lying? Why you lying, Francesco?
2 months, my ass. You've been fucking chilling.
I bet he's in great shape.
No, he's in better shape right now than I will ever be in my life. But 48 years old, he's been retired for so long. There's no
forget
way,
it.
I'm sure he said that humorously. I only read the quote, so
yeah,
I didn't
isn't that shit?
Yeah. When you don't see it, you never know if it was said sarcastically or with a twinkle in his eyes. You know.
That's why I hate emails. I sound so cold on emails.
That's because you start each one with "to whom it may concern."
I really don't.
Kind regards, Matt.
Warm regards.
Lobotka said he loves MILFs.
He did, and then he even went so far as to say the biggest age gap that he had.
I don't remember.
I don't remember it.
Something.
Shit, that's a stat we should have.
Hey, that is a stat we should have prepared. Let's say something, I don't know, let's say along the lines of 13 years older or 17 years older than me, something like that.
Fucking
older.
That was a Mrs. Robinson.
He also said that
situation.
Stifler's mom from American Pie is a little bit too old for him probably nowadays, but he'll have to see a picture of this.
Okay. He used to get excited over American Pie for sure, Lobotka.
Stanislav Lobotka.
Stanislav. Fucking hell.
That's why he's injured. A barber in Naples went viral for using a Juventus-themed cape on his customers.
What a shit house.
How funny. They're all like, oh!
There was a viral clip as well of this guy walking through Naples in a Juve kit, and some are actual violent interactions, like violent reactions. Others are just so funny.
Yeah, people are just telling like, what the hell are you? Do you want to die?
Be careful.
Everyone telling you be careful, but nothing ever happens. Douglas Luiz and Alicia Lehman's home was robbed, and 500,000 euros worth of items was stolen. No joke there, just
No,
news.
well, to be honest, not a joke, but a recommendation to future robbers.
Okay, here we go. He's gonna say it, guys.
Alan
the group
made-
chat knows exactly what you're gonna say, right?
Alan made a great joke. Like, all they had to do was steal one dirty pair of Alicia Lehman's underwear, and they would have made triple the cash and just had to sell one item. That's a 10 on 10 joke. I don't care.
It is. It's fantastic. Serie A spotlight. Manolas played striker for non-league side Panaxiakos. I don't know how to pronounce that. Against Marpizaikos. And he scored 5 in a 12-1 victory.
The Greek god in Rome. Huh?
Greek god in Panaxiakos, apparently. And finally, a personal one. Our patron Michael was in Venice for Venezia Atalanta and had his Atalanta shorts on, resulting in the police asking him to cover it up, forcing him to wear his shorts inside out for the rest of the day.
That sounds fun.
I love when our patrons go to games.
Hey,
and we
bro,
get like behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you know?
we got one. Was it was some derby in Spain, and I forgot who it was. It was like Betis Sevilla or something.
I can't quite remember.
It was something, but there were 13-year-olds drinking port before the game, so
as it should be.
Always good to see the next generation not being fucking pussies. If you guys are new here, don't forget to follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter at Serie A Spotlight, and also show us some extra love and care on both TikTok and YouTube nowadays. Still growing over there. Our TikTok, for context, had been taken down and we're rebuilding it from scratch.
And I can't believe I have to do this, guys, but smash the like button. People just ignore the like button nowadays.
It's true.
It's mental. Like,
we get great viewership, but maybe the like button on...
smash.
Uh-huh.
Because the thing is, most people, I think, watch it on their TVs or they cast it, and you're not going to like it when... You're not going to like a video when you're watching it on your TV, you know?
It really helps.
It's kind of
us,
outdated,
guys.
the like button on
It
YouTube.
helps us so
Yes, it
fucking
helps with the
much.
algorithm.
And also show us some love, of course, on Spotify, Apple. Rate us wherever you're listening. You can be honest, or you could just be really cool and give us 5 stars. That's our average right now, so we'd love to maintain that. And if you guys want to show us some extra love, we're also on Patreon. It's just $3.99 a month, again, at Serie A Spotlight. And you'll be added to a fantasy league, which we should really keep updating people about. I feel like we've forgotten this time. And also the latest group chat in Serie A history, which is bags of fun.
Absolutely, yes. While my
don't
prehistoric
worry about
PC
that, Will.
loads up the fantasy football, I think we can get started, to be honest.
You'll crash the entire podcast if you try to do that. Do you have the patrons, or are we doing it after?
We'll do it after.
We'll do it after.
Because I don't have
you
them either.
guys-
This week was a little bit chaotic, guys. Matt and I had action-packed weekend, so catching up with the games was actually quite difficult. This is why you should become a patron. This is why you should make us full-time. This is why you can make us the best.
We work so hard. And also, everyone decided to get married these 2 weeks. It's great. I love every single couple that decided to get married these 2 weeks, but unfortunately, we missed a couple of games. It was hilarious keeping up with the Milan game on my phone during that is Reinder's red card.
So, in the Milan game, I'll tell the story and then we'll get started. I was at a wedding, of course, so I couldn't watch the Milan game, and the wedding's of a very close friend of mine, so I couldn't have it on my phone, you know.
Separate weddings, by the way.
Separate weddings. And I saw that the Milan scored and we were winning 1-0. And then I saw that Reinders got sent off. I kept checking every now and then. I checked in the 60th minute. We were still winning 1-0. I'm like, okay, perfect. Then I put my phone away and I forgot about the game a little bit, and I was on the dance floor, you know, I was
boogieing,
doing the stanky leg or something, and out of nowhere, Grima comes, a patron and friend of ours, has been on the show before. And he goes, Milan, how did the game end, by the way? And he pulls out his phone and he opens SofaScore. And on SofaScore, I see Milan 1, Udinese 0. And the 0 changes to a 1 in front of my very eyes in the 95th minute. He immediately turned off his phone, like he locked it, and he went, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that at all, that wasn't planned, like it was a total mistake, like I didn't know that was going to happen. It's fine, whatever, I'm there, I'm sulking, I'm thinking, oh my God, we need to get some results, man. Udinese have been a bogey team for so long. I'm like thinking about this shit. Then I find the moment, I sit down, I unlock my phone, I go on SofaScore to check the league table to see how dire the situation is. And I see that we won 1-0. The goal got called off. Thank God.
Now imagine
what a roller coaster.
Imagine it was the Bruges game and you saw 4-1 Camarda. I'll take you guys through the rundown before we get started. We'll start things off with the biggest match of the weekend. Roma 0, Inter 1. Inter actually struggled a little bit to open the scoring over there, but it was a great goal by Lautaro Martinez quite late on in the game that managed to get the job done for Inter over there. Another valuable 3 points for them and a clean sheet, which is good news. They look quite solid defensively. Juve 1, Lazio 0. Lazio did get an early red card through a last-minute challenge by Alessio Romagnoli, one of the controversial ones. And Juve only managed to score through a Mario Hila own goal late on in the match. Lazio were very solid defensively, and Juve once again just struggled to get that ball into the box and get goals.
And to move the ball at an urgent pace.
Yeah, at a good. It's not quite muscle memory yet.
Yeah.
It's not quite Como yet. Milan 1, Udinese 0, as Jake alluded to. Milan did open the scoring through Chukwueze, and then Reinders did get a red card shortly after, and a very, very almost. It's ridiculously similar to the Romagnoli red card. Milan did hold on firm though. Udinese did have a goal allowed, but Milan defended brilliantly and they managed to get away with a 1-0 victory over there. These two red cards were again just super identical. Last minute challenge, but with minor contact. There's no malice, there's no clear and obvious error, but it is the denial of a goal scoring opportunity, a clear goal scoring opportunity.
Romagnoli, of course, his follow-through did clip the man. However, he seemed to touch the ball.
I have no idea. The angles they give us, these guys, man. Fucking hell.
I think Reinders was a lot more... like he did nothing, you know.
Like he pulled back the minimal contact, like Patrick Kendrick in the Inter-Roma game. Cristante did the same thing to Thuram. And the referee deemed it as not a red card, not a foul, because it's not a clear and obvious error and there's no malice to it. So it's just, again, the inconsistency of the calls that really pissed me off.
And then Rocky, the head of the refereeing association or whatever, said, Reinders did nothing wrong, but for me it's a red.
Respect.
Well done.
Respect. Empoli 0, Napoli 1. Empoli were magnificent in this game. So fucking good in this game. They were defending well. They were attacking well. They were probably, dare I say, better than Napoli in this game. And it was a ridiculous penalty that was awarded to Napoli, which allowed Guevara to step up and score over there. A non-existent penalty, in my opinion.
Fabricated completely. From a collision nowhere near the ball. 50-50 between two players.
It's not like Napoli need any favours this season. Venezia 0, Atalanta 2. Good victory here for Atalanta. We did see Stankovic step in goal for Venezia.
As we've been calling for.
Brilliant goal by Retegui over there. He's on fire completely, and it's another victory for Atalanta. Lecce 0, Fiorentina 6. So Fiorentina beat Milan 2 weeks ago, and they're really riding off that momentum, and they went to Lecce and they absolutely demolished them. Just great for so many of their players to get off the mark this season, particularly Colpani, who had a brilliant game. He scored 2 great goals as well. Great signs for Fiorentina. I mean, there's absolutely no negative in winning 6-0. Genoa 2, Bologna 2. Bologna did have a 2-0 goal advantage, but you know what that means? It means they're going to concede 2 at some point, and it was Pinamonti, who put on a masterclass, proper number 9 goals, great finish on his left, and also a great header to beat Bologna's goalkeeper.
And Gilardino, the masterclass came from Gilardino as well, because they lost another 2 players before the start of this game. I have them in my notes, but I can't quite remember. I think De Winter was one of them.
De Winter.
And
Vitinha,
exactly.
Vitinha.
So their injury list is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Balotelli's going, by the way. It's happening.
It's done.
It's not done. He has to do his medicals, but they've already been flirting, like social media and all that. And
here we come, Mario Balotelli to Genoa.
His medicals are scheduled, apparently.
Here we come. Next up, and then we have Cagliari 3, Torino 2. Torino are going through quite a negative spell. Cagliari are going through quite a positive spell. At the moment, this was probably my favorite match. It's always good to see Cagliari in Sardinia just doing what they do, and they're really managing to turn things around under Davide Nicola. We have Como 1, Parma 1. That's where we saw Bonni's delicious goal, only to be equalized by a certain Nico Paz, the phenomenon. And then Verona 0, Monza 3. Monza getting their first win of the season and doing it in great fashion. Ruolo del Lecce. Verona couldn't contain Juric, who was absolutely everywhere. 2 flick-ons for the goals. He was marvelous.
That's how you utilize a big man up front, right?
Big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we get started with Roma-Inter?
Yes, sir. That's yours.
So, Inter defeated Roma 1-0 with Lautaro scoring the decisive goal, which came through a Zalewski error where he miscontrolled the ball following a corner. Inter managed to counter, and as they were working the ball into the box, Celik had the opportunity to clear it, and he messed that up as well. So it was 2 errors in a row, and Lautaro just took advantage and smacked it as hard as he could into the top corner. Roma did have more possession, but Inter, of course, were clinical with their one chance, and you can't make a mistake like this at this level without getting punished for it.
No, especially against Inter, right?
Yeah. As for the lineups, Roma lined up in their 3-4-2-1 formation with Svilar in goal. Bloody phenomenal goalkeepers.
Great performance.
Yeah. Angelino, Indica and Mancini formed the back 3 with Zalewski on the left and Celik on the right, Cristante and Kone in the middle, with Pellegrini and Dybala playing behind Artem Dovbyk. For Inter, it was a 3-5-2 formation with Sommer in goal, Pavard, Acerbi and Bastoni at the back, Darmian on the right, Di Marco on the left with Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu and Barella in the middle with Thuram and Martinez up front. Of course, this is classic Inter, no?
Yeah.
It's literally Inter in full swing. Their only missing players were Buchanan and Zielinski, while Roma were missing El Shaarawy and Salamakers.
Yeah.
Now, the game got off to a bit of a rocky start for Inter as Çalhanoğlu had to be replaced in the 12th minute for Frattesi. Turns out the injury isn't that bad and he'll be back soon, but they caught it right in time. He couldn't resume this game.
Very interesting how Frattesi is the one that replaced Çalhanoğlu, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in that position, you'd think it'd be Aslani, right?
But Aslani wasn't even on the bench, apparently.
No.
Must have picked up a knock.
Or maybe he was excused from the game. Because apparently sometimes they're not on the injury list. This happened with Freze last time of Verona. And everyone was speculating that perhaps he requested time off because of some family issues or something.
Could be.
So it could be that he wasn't there. Because he's not on the bench.
Yeah, so it had to be Frattesi.
Yeah. And Acerbi also got injured and had to be replaced by De Vries in the 27th minute. And De Vries actually came in and put on
a great performance.
A good performance, yes. A very solid
revitalized
performance. Player. Yeah, absolutely. So the goal from Lautaro came in the 58th minute. And Roma, to be honest, got closest at the very end of the game, the 90th minute, when Soulé shot from quite some distance and forced Sommer into a save using his hand. Strong hand by Sommer, but to be honest, it wasn't that threatening. And I feel like Roma should have threatened a lot more, but their chances simply weren't there. They're so disjointed, bro.
Yeah.
There was one moment, actually, when... when Roma almost scored, and it's because Sommer mishandled a cross and it hit the post.
Yeah,
and
he
he caught
mishandled
it
it
again
onto the
after.
post,
Exactly,
right?
he mishandled it onto the post.
And it was
But
going straight to a Roma striker in the middle of the goal, so he had to leap out and catch it after. We've seen Sommer make those.
would have been a terrible own goal. Terrible. Regarding this match, bro, I thought that this game was quite balanced. The only difference is that Roma made these silly individual errors that Inter don't seem to make. And the one mistake that Inter made of Sommer, that clear one that could have been disastrous, they got away with it. That's the main difference. But Roma had the opportunity to recover from Zalewski's error, and they didn't manage. Celik fucked up as well. So it was 2 mistakes in a row, and at this level it's unacceptable, and you will be punished for something like that. You know, it's harsh, but that's the reality of playing a team like Inter. They will punish you on your shortcomings.
I think it was quite an even game, even from the sense of XG. Completely even, 1.04 XG, 55% ball possession to Roma, 45% ball possession to Inter. Total shots are 14-11, goalkeeper saves are 5-3. Quite an even affair. The difference is, how many times would you have expected Roma to score on the attack? Zero. Because if I were an Inter fan in this game, I don't think I would have been frightened once, just for the Sommer error, and that's absolutely it. Inter, every time they attack, it looks almost certain that they're going to get a shot away on target. Thuram charging down through the middle, out-muscling the defenders. I think Thuram had a couple of occasions where he could have passed, but he didn't as he was charging forward. At a point, Mkhitaryan hit the post with a half volley from significant distance. And they just have these weapons. They don't have one weapon and one technique the same way Roma do. Because Roma's change maker, difference maker, at this point is Paulo Dybala. You could argue Dovbyk, you could argue Pellegrini maybe, but we're not really seeing it from them, are we? Dovbyk needs to be fed a little bit more. But when you're up against those 3 centre-backs, sometimes it's damn near impossible to even get a sniff of the ball. So we didn't really get to see much from him in this game.
It's true. Pellegrini was a little bit better. We also saw a situation where, so first of all, when Çalhanoğlu went off, it was up to Barella and Mkhitaryan to orchestrate the midfield together. They kind of acted as a double pivot, and I think they did very well. On the other hand, you have Torino, who are set up.
Roma.
Sorry. Roma.
Well, Juric and dark red,
exactly.
bro, is what we're seeing.
That's what threw me off. Because I was going to say, these guys are playing a Juric system. So we see on the counter-attack of Inter, who's tracking back to try to win the ball at full speed with his heart about to fucking pump out of his mouth. It's Dybala, man. Why is Dybala tracking back like that? You know, you'd love to see it, sure, but even Juric said in his press conference, he said that I have a lot of work to do with Dybala. He needs to get used to covering the space for his teammates so he doesn't do as much running. Dybala's kind of a player, man, that you make exception to him when it comes to your system. You find a way to work around him. You give him full freedom. He's not a player who's going to give you anything defensively. Forget it. Like, there are so many players like this in the league. So many. You think
they've got 9 other men.
You think Nicolas Viola for Cagliari on the lower end on a kind of micro scale example. Nicolas Viola for Cagliari has one job: to orchestrate play, to create attacks, to try to think of something. He's the fantasista, you know. You look at Dybala here, you're not going to expect him to cover and to go back and to cover the wing while Celik overlaps. Are you crazy?
Well, to play in a system, look, when you have world-class players, and Dybala is a world-class player for sure, it doesn't make you exempt from having a system and having a manager like, for example, look at all the world-class players at City. They have to abide by a very strict system created by Pep Guardiola. But that very strict system does allow exceptions when it comes to the attacking phase and the defensive phase. You look at Leao for Milan, for Milan. He's not expected to track back, but because of that, you have to find a system that allows the team to double down when it comes to tracking back. So it means leaving an extra midfielder down while your team attacks. Or an extra defender down while the team attacks. You can't have Dybala Now, I'm not saying treat him like glass because he's injury prone, but don't fucking make him the hardest working player on the pitch. For the love of God, man. For the love of God.
Know who you're working with.
Exactly.
That's it, exactly. If you're saying he has an injury record, don't force him into 50-50s. You know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's
when you have someone like Brian Cristante who's just there to smash into cunts.
And Manu Kone, that should be enough to compensate for it. Even Pellegrini can get stuck in every now and then. However, it's far from Juric's fault. These players, we've addressed the disaster that's happening at Roma too many times now. The fact that they went from Mourinho to De Rossi to a Mourinho-esque manager in Juric, so they kind of have this weird squad of players who are suited to play a 4-3-3, but they're back to playing a 3-4-2-1. It's a mess. It's an absolute disaster. The fans are unhappy. This game on the pitch, I think Roma played on par with Inter. I think they were level with them. It's true Inter were more dangerous and they created more chances, but it's the kind of thing that under a new coach and with a new striker up front, the goals will take a while to come. So the foundation is there, the basics. The problem is, are the Friedkins going to give this guy time?
That's it. Because you cannot blame the players because they played a good game. Bar, obviously, you mentioned there are a few individual errors. Those are going to happen. It's football. You're playing Inter, whatever. With that being said, you can't blame the manager either, because the manager is still getting used to it. He's still trying to change the system and trying to get them to play his system. He still needs to see, should I adapt my system? He's still learning. He's learning during a crisis where Roma hadn't won a single game yet this season. You have to blame the top. You have to blame the Friedkins. The Friedkins who spent significant amounts of money to cater for one system. And then they screwed up their greatest investment. Sule, one of their greatest investments. They completely fucked it with him because they chose a manager that can't fit Sule into the system.
Imagine that.
Imagine you buy a car. You spend fucking 250k buying a Ferrari, Lamborghini, whatever, like, and you just can't use it because there's a law in your city that tells you to drive electric only. And you just have a beautiful Lamborghini that's just sitting there.
Or the garage is too small.
Or the garage is too small. It's just raining on your car over and over. It's ridiculous. Again, no fault of the players, no fault of the management. It is for sure the Friedkins' fault. Even what they did with the CEO, they fired the CEO, or the CEO stepped down. It's just a complete catastrophe, and I feel sorry for Roma fans.
They're cutthroat, man. Svilar had an absolutely fantastic game. If there's one player who's winning over the Roma fans in these trying times, it's Miles Villar. Now, Miles Villar has actually represented Belgium on international level from 2014 up until 2020.
And Courtois has stepped down from the national team.
But however, this was from the under-15s to the under-21s. Then in 2021, he made one senior appearance for Serbia.
Oh.
Yeah, so I believe he technically can represent Serbia. Now, if you're the coach, it is a fun question. If you're the coach of the Serbian national team.
Vanja.
Still?
Vanja.
Why?
He embodies Serbia.
you know.
He has to embody Serbia. He's so...
even simply being in the tunnel next to him must be terrifying.
Man.
Stepping out onto the pitch.
There's that, and he just feels a little bit... Now, of course, Svilar's a very tidy keeper. Could be he's even tidier than Vanja. But Vanya's just a freak, right? He's got his size. He's so good with the ball at his feet. It's almost a cheat code having him. I'd go Vanja for Serbia. For club level, I might go Svilar. I don't know why my brain's working this way.
So I think that I would go for Milinkovic-Savic as well.
Nice.
Because he again, like as you said, he's the embodiment of Serbia, right? He's an intimidating player. His personality is massive. His frame is massive. He's a scary looking guy. His reflexes are cat-like for his size, and his distribution is very good as well. Svilar is great, 25 years old. Of course, it's great for Serbia to have this problem. We mentioned our fantasy football before, by the way. It's obviously Pieter who's first. Still 635 points. Listen to how embarrassing this is. Sarah, my girlfriend who's in our fantasy league, who is in 9th, by the way, congratulated me for making the first page yesterday, and now I'm no longer in
Am
it.
I not on the first page yet?
You're not
bro?
on the... Bro, this is ass for us, honestly. I'm 20th, and you're 22nd.
Huge.
Massive. Okay, yeah,
Huge.
this fantasy, not for us, huh?
But I'm thinking of using my wild card soon. Because I
Yes, do it.
I was treating it like
Do
Leg FC. I was treating it like
Yeah,
Leg
same
FC.
here, same
you
here.
know?
The proper, like the...
Now
the
I have
Italian
an
front
idea,
of
and
it,
I'm coming
yeah.
for all of you. Next up,
So-
or
Yes, the only thing I want to mention is that Thuram penalty incident, which for me was
of
a
course.
strange coming together of bodies. This was kind of not really discussed in as much detail because Inter still managed the victory. However, if this had ended draw, it would have made all the headlines. For you, is this a penalty?
is it a red card?
Is it a...
I'm not sure it was in the... No, it was
It wa-
outside the box. It was outside the box. Was it a red card?
It was in the box, bro.
But was it a last
Okay, was it-
foul and a red card? I don't think it was inside the box.
Okay. Discuss if you think it was a red card. I'm gonna pull it up.
I think it was. Now, call me biased by looking at the kit that I'm wearing, but I think that Reinders didn't even extend a leg, whereas Cristante and Romagnoli both extended a leg. And you could both see that they were trying to, not foul, but that they were challenging the player, whether they were going for the ball or trying to get in front of him. They clearly disrupted. There was their leg moving into the player, which caused a disruption in the player's flow. It doesn't need to be significant contact when they're moving at that significant pace, which makes it the denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity, which to me is a red card. For the Reinders one, on the other hand, all I saw was Reinders pull back and the player go to ground. I'm not blessed with the angles that VAR have, and VAR was checked and the decision stood. There must have been contact. But I do think you need to look at the intention of the player in these situations. That's what you have to look at. Patrick Kendrick, I don't think he said this with any intent, or I don't think he was showcasing an opinion that he had. But he said there was no clear and obvious error by Cristante. So there's no clear and obvious error, but it's the denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity.
It would have been a free kick. It's just outside the area.
The initial contact happened just outside the area. There we go. Yep.
I mean, if Reinders exactly is a red card, that's a red card. There's no clear...
More so.
And I think it's actually Ndika who touches... Who clips him first,
Let
if
me
you look
see.
carefully. It's...
No, the coming together is with Cristante, I
Cristante.
believe. That's a red
It's
card.
a weird... Yeah, it has to be. I mean, he's right. He's one-on-one in front of goal. Those guys aren't there. You're going to score. Like, you're going to shoot. You know, they stopped a shot. They stopped a clear goal scoring opportunity.
And there were two...
Yes, it was actually Cristante.
There were
that took him down.
two exactly like it. Even softer.
Yeah, it's true.
At least Reinders was even softer, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
So
Again, I hate bitching and moaning, but man, it's at another level. Like,
We just want consistency at this point.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Brother, I think we can move on. Shall we start reading of the positions after match day 10, by the way?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Because we'll be doing things a bit differently on match day 10, so we'll turn a fresh page.
Yeah.
But we are moving on to Juve 1, Lazio 0. Juve were coming off a 1-1 home draw to Cagliari, and then a 1-0 home loss against Stuttgart in the Champions League. So, going through a bit of a tough spell at the minute. Lazio, on the other hand, were coming off a 2-1 home win against Empoli, where they looked very impressive. Lazio and Juve entered this game level on points, actually, despite Juve being undefeated. Conceição was suspended, Cope Miners, Nico Gonzalez, McKennie, Milik and Bremer injured. So injury crisis on for Juve. Especially Cope Miners, Nico Gonzalez, McKennie, Bremer. You're kidding
and now
me.
Douglas Luiz has picked up an injury
Has
as
he?
well. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Lazzari didn't make the trip, though Guendouzi started despite a knock for Lazio. It was a 4-3-3 formation for Juve, with Di Gregorio on goal and a backline of Savona, Cabal and Kalulu and Gatti as the centre-backs. Douglas Luiz, Locatelli and Kefren Thuram started in the midfield, with Yildiz out on the left, Cambiaso out on the right and Vlahovic starting as the lone striker. It was a 4-2-3-1 formation for Baroni's men, with Provedel in goal and the backline of Marisic and Tavares, with Gila and Romagnoli as the centre-backs. One got a red card and the other scored an own goal. Guendouzi and Rovella in the double pivot, with Isaacson, Dia and Zaccagni playing behind Tati Castellanos. Now, the turning point in this game came in the 24th minute, when Lazio captain Alessio Romagnoli was shown a straight red card for a last man foul on Pierre Kalulu, who charged forward incredibly. There was a great passage of play there. We've said that Juve need a guy that plays like Calafiori to imitate Motta's system under Bologna. That move was Calafiori. Kalulu was Calafiori there. So that's what he's doing.
And suddenly they weren't as predictable as they had been.
Exactly. But this left Lazio to play with 10 men for most of the match, giving Juve obviously the numerical advantage. Now, although Vlahovic hit the crossbar in the 57th minute, it wasn't until the 85th minute that Juve found the breakthrough. It was Lazio defender Mario Gila who inadvertently scored an own goal while attempting to clear Juan Cabal's cross. He had been limping for some time before he did that, Gila. So it was really unfortunate to see. The goal came 1 minute after Douglas Luiz took an off-the-ball swing at Patrick, clearly striking the defender in the back. We didn't even mention this when we're talking about the controversial calls. We're talking about malice. Like that idiot, Rocky. He said there was no malice in that last man foul. How about a punch?
Closed
Rocky?
fist and everything.
You know what he said? There wasn't enough force.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how we an absolute fucking shit show it is over there. It's a shit show, because what they're showing us is that they genuinely, bro, they don't know what they're doing. They
could have made it a hat-trick of red cards, Douglas Luiz.
Bro, this is, I'm not saying this about Juve, I'm not saying this about any team, but this is how teams start to be searched for any under-the-table payments to referees. When you start seeing inconsistent shit like this. But it's not that. On the other hand, it's just a bunch of incompetent idiots. Yes,
it's definitely a mess, man. This match day in general was just a weekend of contradictions, a weekend of hypocrisy. That's what it was, and a weekend of confusion. When you go to read about it and you read the quotes, it's incoherent, bro. Nothing makes sense. Like
you'd think
enough force. What are you talking about?
You'd think
so I can hit you a little bit and it's okay, but if I hit you a lot, it's not okay.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Off a football pitch, like, bro, it's bad. He punched him. Like you're telling players that they can throw a temper tantrum and strike someone.
No,
it's complete.
A mess. I mean,
I thought I knew football. I thought I knew the rules. I don't know shit.
At least there's a lot of backlash. So usually when there's backlash, things improve a little bit. Lately, officiating hasn't been that bad. We had 2 weeks now where it was a little bit controversial, and a little bit it's very controversial. It's an understatement. However, the opening few games of the season were sound. I really liked the officiating, and I hope we can return to that. We'll see. Yes, I was really impressed by Lazio and the way they were forced to change their game plan. Play more of a low block.
Yes.
Invite Juve. Juve, if you sit back, they're going to struggle. Especially without Conceição, they could have really used this game.
For sure.
Lazio even looked dangerous on the counter. On certain occasions, and I think that they managed to remain in it, and the only reason they lost is because of a silly mistake. Literally.
Yeah, the own goal by Mario Gila, who he had a good game. He made a mistake. He seemed to have handled the ball in the area at a point. Now I don't want to again point fingers at the referee, but he genuinely seemed like he handled the ball in the area at a point. I don't know if it's just me or if you guys caught it as well. But go watch the replay. I'm quite
let us
sure
know in the comments and smash the like button.
You know what? So can we agree that despite Romagnoli having little malice and not making a clear and obvious error that it was a red card, it was last man, he brought him down. We can agree on that. Okay, good call. So there's no question about the red card, which gave Juve the numerical advantage from the 24th minute onwards.
I thought that he touched the ball ever so slightly before getting his man again. But that's not enough nowadays.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
take out the guy, it's a red card. Yeah.
There was a VAR check on that which confirmed the red card, but there was no VAR check for Douglas Luiz. And obviously, the Lazio director came out and criticized the inconsistency of the decisions, which has become a major post-match talking point.
He managed to stay awake for the entire thing? Or?
he did.
He's
a
always
good job.
There's a whole meme for those who don't know out there. Claudio Lotito, right? You're talking about.
Yes.
So Lotito goes to these seminars or
Like
whatever the
this,
hell
he
they are,
watches
these
them,
meetings, and he's constantly being photographed like passed out, asleep. Hilarious, like
Literally.
hilarious how this is a thing that happens so regularly.
Well, when you reach a certain age as a man and you put a game, like I know people who they say they like Formula 1. They put on the Formula 1 and by lap 6, they're passed out, bro. They just want to watch the first corner and when they switch on DRS, like, and then DRS is turbo. they just sleep after lap 6.
Exactly like our great grandmother falling
After
asleep right in front of a speaker on a cruise. Remember that at
bro,
the club?
it's insane.
In her wheelchair, asleep, parked in front of the speaker.
you think she OD'd. What was I gonna say? So Douglas Luiz did that. He punched Patrick in the back. He also missed quite a sitter.
Furious. Yes, he missed the sitter, bro. And not only because had he missed this sitter and no one else was around him, that's one thing. But there was a player waiting to strike the ball perfectly.
He called for it. I saw him.
Yeah. It would have fallen to him perfectly.
I think it was Yildiz.
Douglas Luiz isn't bad.
To be honest, I thought he was a bit better.
Yes, he's alright.
Weirdly enough.
The problem is he's got a lot of pressure and he's making these mistakes, man. And these mistakes stand out. And people who don't watch him closely, this is what they're going to remember.
Exactly.
And, there's a lot of pressure on him nowadays, man. And now he's picked up an injury. This was his time, we said, with Coop Miners out. He'll have a bit of time to express himself, but it's not working out for him at the moment.
Yeah. We'll have to mention Juve's defensive record because I know Lazio are a man down, but Juve have maintained another clean sheet. Under Motta, they conceded just one goal in their first 8 Serie A matches, which has become a club record. So very solid defensive work from Juve as always.
I liked Cabal as well this game. He looked good. He forced the own goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I don't think there's too much to add about this game considering. So we've been through the controversy about this game. Juve just... my cock is limp at the moment when I watch Juve. Because like you said, there isn't any... It's the passages of play that are almost too rehearsed at this point. It's just
and
not...
slow, almost. Like...
they're rehearsed. They have to look up where my teammate is supposed to be running there. Is he running there? Yes, he is. Oh my god, get the pass away. Okay, now control, look up, and it's not flowing.
There were certain moments where they increased the urgency and they looked a lot more dangerous. But they're too far from each other, these moments. Basically.
We also have to obviously say that with the players that they missed in Cope Miners especially, because Cope Miners orchestrates play beautifully, even without touching the ball.
Yeah.
And simply having Conceição out, who is their player that can really take on a man. Now, of course, Yildiz can do that. Yildiz has been a bit quiet lately. Still 19 years of age. This is his first season where he's starting games consistently.
He's a 10 playing on the wing, eh?
He's a 10 playing on the wing. But he still has a lot of time to grow into that, man.
Yes.
He'll be absolutely fine.
And the thing is, I think that Juve, this game, one of the biggest problems was that they were very, very, very narrow because they didn't have an actual direct winger.
Exactly.
As you're saying, everyone wants to cut inside. You look at Cambiaso on the other side as well, cutting inside. Yildiz cutting inside. Had Conceição been there, I think it would have been very different.
Yeah. Vlahovic, very involved, coming in deep, playing with his back towards goal, but just simply misfiring when he gets the opportunities. Not to say that he had so many opportunities, but the few that he did, I think he could have done much better as a 70 million striker, and Douglas Luiz as a 50 million midfielder. These are the ones that you're gonna want them to do a little bit better, don't you?
Yeah. Can I also mention that after the red card, it was Boulaye Dia who was sacrificed, right?
Yeah.
In order to bring on another player for some balance. He brought on, in fact, Patrick, exactly. And it's hilarious how you see kind of like two banks of four in order to low block Juve, but in the midfield bank in the low block you've got Zaccagni and Isaacson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they set up so offensively and they had to change the plan completely, and they actually did quite well, I thought.
They did quite
Zaccagni's a really nice player, man.
He is.
And Alan pointed him out as well in the recap he gave us as a really impressive player who's growing on him.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes.
No, I am a big fan of him. Nuno Tavares, once again, did this. So, this is the first game where we saw him perform defensively, and I thought he was great. I thought he put in a good shift defensively. I thought he was clean. I thought he was tidy. Hoping to see more of that from him, because we know what he could do offensively. Let's start seeing him defensively now.
And Adam Maricic, what a dependable man he is.
He's still there, bro. Still there. But that's pretty much it for this game, I believe. I don't think I'm missing anything.
I don't think so.
Very good.
So we can move on to Milan.
Woo!
Milan.
Brilliant.
So Milan beat Udinese 1-0 with Chukwueze scoring the decisive goal in the 19th minute. Despite being reduced to 10 men after Reinders was sent off in the first half, they managed to win. Udinese had 2 disallowed goals basically, and a very, very strong penalty appeal.
2 disallowed goals, not
2
one?
disallowed goals. 2 disallowed goals.
Okay,
and bro, a penalty call. Terrible penalty call.
The offside goal, bro.
A toe. Absolutely, yes. For Milan, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation with Manyan in goal. Emerson.
Manyan. Been really good, bro. I know this. Don't worry. You've been good.
Emerson Royal on the right with Terracciano on the left, and Pavlovic and Chow as the centre-back partnership. A very bold decision. Well, not bold decision. There was nothing really that could be done, as Gabbia picked up an injury right before the game, and Tomori had to be disciplined or rested. It depends on how you look at it. Reinders and Fofana formed the midfield double pivot with Noah Okafor on the left, Chukwueze on the right, Pulisic in the middle playing behind Morata. Now, the whole logic over here behind Okafor and Chukwueze starting is turnover, right? Milan had a must-win Champions League game. These guys are in the squad. Fonseca put his trust in them.
Let me just say something.
Please.
Pulisic 90 minutes in this game. Pulisic 90 minutes against Club Brugge.
Yes, but thankfully Fonseca publicly thanked Pochettino for not playing him in the last one.
Thank God.
3-5-2 for Udinese with Okoye in goal, Kabasele, Biol and Toure at the back. Those of you who don't know who Toure is, Suleimana Isaac Toure is a fucking giant.
On his debut, I had done a little segue on him.
I saw him next to Lucca, and he made him look a bit small, bro, which is crazy. And Lucca's 6'6", so I don't exactly know how tall Toure is, but he must be 6'7", 6'8".
Right there, I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, something like that. Now, Eziba was on the right with Zamora on the left. Zaraga, Karlstrom and Lovric were in the middle with Lucca and Iker Bravo up front. Iker Bravo making his debut.
He's 6'7.5", dog.
6'7.5". He doesn't really need that half. Imagine saying that. Yeah, I'm 6'7.5", bro. like I say I'm 5'10.5" because it's important, but 6'7.5", not really important. For Milan, of course,
I just say I'm 5'9", and I'm so not like, hey, I'm like 5'8" or some shit.
You're puny. Theo Hernandez was suspended for this one, of course, getting sent off on the worst birthday I've ever seen in my life. Florenzi, Benacer and Calabria were still out, while Udinese were missing Christensen and Alexis Sanchez. So Chukwueze's goal came in the 19th minute with Reinders being sent off in the 37th. Ezibwe scored a goal that was disallowed in the 63rd minute, while in the 95th minute Cabasele's goal was also disallowed. For me, this game, brother, was a huge victory for Milan, first of all, in the fact that these victories often bring unity, they bring people together, you struggle, you suffer together, and you reap the rewards together. And also, it was very good management, I thought, by Fonseca.
Mm-hmm.
Because Fonseca went down a man and managed to keep a clean sheet, when Milan typically struggled to keep a clean sheet with 11 men, let alone with 10. Granted, the way it happened was a little bit fortunate, but sometimes you need a bit of luck. I'm sure Fonseca planned to eventually introduce Leao into this game, but the fact that Milan went down to 10
No, you're not going to bring him on
stopped
for
him from
defensive
bringing...
Exactly. You won't bring him on for defensive reasons.
So I really admire...
You said luck. I can't believe you. I can't believe you said luck.
Because of the Reinders thing,
got sent
yes,
off.
okay,
What
granted. But, sorry, if that happened against you, isn't that a red? I mean, granted, he didn't lunge, he didn't pull a t-shirt or anything, but, he made contact with him and he stopped the run.
Bro was moving backwards.
Yeah.
No, but I get you.
It's
And
soft,
there
it's
is
soft,
a word,
but-
like it's not an insane red card call. It's just soft. It's harsh. But considering that, yes, you're absolutely right. Fonseca, if this were Pioli, I think Milan would have suffered, because Pioli always struggled with in-game management, whereas it seems to be a strong point for Fonseca, judging from this game. He does make good decisions and good calls to bring on certain players. Even I can't argue with the team he fielded as well. I thought he fielded a good team. The subs he made against Bruges were strong as well, bringing on two players who instantly contributed to goals. And I think you're absolutely right that a game like this is what creates unity.
Absolutely,
A game like
yes,
this,
yes.
you're playing the majority of the match as 10 men up against 11. And you managed to not concede a single goal. Of course, there were the offsides, but they were offside.
Yeah.
Don't talk to us about fucking offsides today after what happened to Kamara yesterday.
Exactly.
It was offside. Whatever.
His toe was off.
Exactly.
Don't want your toe to be off?
Do I fucking agree that the calls should they zoom into any single pixel that might be off? No. This is what they do. Who am I to
We've
to
seen
argue
worse.
that?
Keane's last season was comical.
Keane's was ridiculous.
Comical.
Keane's was, I can't argue this anymore. That's the way they do it. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
look at Keane's. That's every time someone complains, look at Keane's. Go look at Keane's. So I was very impressed with Fofana's performance.
Fofana
has been really good, and not only has he improved his distribution and his positioning, and he's growing, he's learning the system, and he's becoming more familiar with his teammates, and he's dropping in between the centre backs to collect the ball. He also showed very good experience in gamesmanship as well, meaning managing the game. Milan are a man down, you buy some time.
Exactly.
Buying some time, being street smart. I thought that he was great.
A guy that has featured in the World Cup, that has featured in the Euros, that has been coached by some great coaches. This guy has experience, and he's a good profile to bring into Milan, and he will become. He already is somewhat of a leader.
Yeah,
and
he's bloody passionate about the team.
Bloody
It often
passionate.
surprises me. Like even against Inter when Gabbia scored the winner, it was his T-shirt he gave him to hang,
Yes,
to
bro.
put on the flag.
Yes.
And now this game, when Udinese's last goal was called off, you see Fofana just turning to someone, screaming.
Yes, we're doing this to him. Like, you're celebrating. What are you celebrating? Huh?
So a splash of shithousery as well on Fofana's performance, which is great.
So far, good for Milan, because one thing you'll notice is the schedule at the moment. Like, fuck, like we're gonna have a really hard time. In fact, we need to update you guys on the format in which we're gonna be recording the next 2 match days, because there's 3 match days in 2 weeks, and there's football on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like, these players we're gonna die because we need to record these players. They've got it even worse. But so far, And of course with the Champions League before that as well. So far, Milan, with the Udinese game, winning it 1-0. In the Bruges game, they rotated a little bit and they got away with a 3-1 win. Now they have Bologna up next. So far, it looks like Milan can maintain a positive spell in this chaotic period.
Yes, absolutely. It has to be said that Udinese didn't play badly, but instead of trying to force these Milan defenders out of their position while they were a man up, they played to Chow and Pavlovic's strengths.
Crossing the ball.
Yeah, when you look at Chow and Pavlovic, what's the first thing you notice? That one had a fucking net on his head, bleeding down under his face. He's ginormous and he's fucking growling at you. While the other guy is a little bit tamer, but he's also massive and quite scary as well, Chow, you know? So they kept playing for these duels. I get Luka's big and strong, but you're a man up. Try to pull them out of their position. You know, they didn't do that with Udinese. And Pavlovic and Chow played a very good game.
They did.
Even though I must again say that I'm confused by Pavlovic. Sorry if you're going to say something, but I have to say this before I forget. Pavlovic is a player who I love to watch because, again, when it comes to a 50-50, you might as well be in a cage with Khabib, man.
Literally.
You know?
Literally.
He is great at duels. He's alright with the ball and he can progress as well. However, when it comes to certain decisions, he's not intelligent enough, or he's too rash, I think. First of all, Reinders got sent off because Pavlovic decided to run out of position. Right? Second of all, Kabasele, right in front of the ref, was about to shoot. Pavlovic slid into him, didn't get any of the ball, clipped Kabasele to give away a clear penalty. The referee didn't whistle. Right? Come on.
That's a penalty.
Be careful.
That's a penalty.
That's it. So Pavlovic is this player at the moment who has great potential, but he's super raw. So dealing with him right now is a little bit weird. Chow was the cool head at the back of this game.
Completely. I mean, we know this a bit about Strahinja. Now, firstly, I do want to address that was a penalty. In my eyes, I thought that
of course, clear.
This was one of the worst officiated games that took place on the weekend. That was a clear penalty for Udinese, and Udinese deserved the penalty. With that being said, Pavlovic, he's interesting. He's quite a similar profile to Tomori in a weird way, because he's a good recovery centre back, but he's erratic. Now, thankfully for him, he's 23 years old. He's 23 years old and he has time to grow into his position, and he has time to... But he just needs to... He needs to learn when to commit and when not to commit. Gabbia can teach him a lot over there, because that's Gabbia's strong point. Gabbia is very good at reading a player's movement and judging the distance between the ball and the player. And
Italian educated.
Literally. But his ceiling is high, Pavlovic. That's the thing. His ceiling is very high. And I was thankful. I was thankful that Milan have two centre backs like Pavlovic and Chow to play up against Udinese. Because if there's one thing I've been praising Udinese for, is their wing play recently. And having someone like Lorenzo Lucca up front, not only for the heading, but even for the flick-ons and the playing with the back towards goal, you need two centre-backs like Pavlovic and Chow. And I think for the majority of the game, they formed a real formidable duo that made life hell for Udinese.
Absolutely, man. Pavlovic wasn't even playing football down there. He was in the Colosseum, bro.
Literally,
he's a gladiator. I love Pavlovic, man. I love him. Even if he's not a refined centre-back. I like your spunk, kid.
I like your spunk.
But before we move on to the next one, I need to mention something about Zalewski, because I forgot to mention a point. That Zalewski, by the way, plays so well with the national team, and he pretty much scores every game for Poland. And then when it comes to Roma, man, he's almost a liability. I think that at the moment that is
There's
testimony
a different position for Poland, though. It plays a bit more offensive, no?
Maybe, but it's still out wide. He's still on the right. I think that's testimony basically to the amount of pressure that there is on these Roma players right now. You know, Zalewski feels the heat. He can't play the same. He can't play as well as he He can't express himself as well as he usually can. And another sample of that as proof is Dovbik's reaction when he scores.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, he collapses on the floor in relief.
It's a very tough environment to be in
tough,
at the moment.
Yeah, tough piazza, as they say.
Shall we jump to another game that consisted of a very controversial call from a referee?
Please.
Sure. Empoli 0, Napoli 1.
You mean the gift for Napoli?
A wrapped present straight into Conte's hands. Empoli were coming off their first loss of the season, which was a 2-1 away loss to Lazio. Now 2 losses in a row all of a sudden. Napoli coming off a 3-1 home win against Como. Now Napoli were without Lobotka and Meret, so Billy Gilmore got his first Serie A start alongside Scott McTominay. How weird, Billy Gilmore and Scott McTominay in the midfield for Napoli.
Crazy. Well, Lobotka's playing with MILFs.
Empoli had Sazonov, Perizan, Bellardinelli, Males, Rukovsky and Ebuehi injured. When's Ebuehi back, dog? He's been out for a while. He's just been rotting on my bench in Fanta. Empoli played a 3-1-4-2 formation with Vasquez in goal and the backline of Viti, Ismaili and Gogliocice. They had Grassi as the regista with Petzella out on the left, Jassi out on the right, and a double pivot of Agnorin and Fazzini with Esposito and Colombo up front together.
Agnorin is super.
He is. He's very good.
I think he gave away the penalty.
I think he did.
Yes,
I think he did.
He gave it away, but he was so good this game.
I know that in my notes I for sure wrote Ismaili by accident, but I think it was Agnorin. It was a 4-3-3 for Napoli with Caprile in goal, man of the match. Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Bongiorno and Spinazzola at the back with Anguissa, Billy Gilmore and Scott McTominay in the midfield, with Politano out on the right, Gvara out on the left and Lukonku up front. Napoli secured a narrow victory at Empoli Stadium, I believe it's a Castellani, with Gvara scoring the only goal via a penalty in the 63rd minute. The Georgian winger slotted home after he was fouled by Agnorin in the box, a decision that stirred controversy as Empoli felt the contact was minimal. In the first half, Empoli seemed the better team, putting up a strong defensive performance and forcing Napoli's goalkeeper Caprile into action early on, particularly thanks to a very lively Esposito with a very swanky haircut and a very swanky moustache. I like your style, Esposito.
He kind of looks like Saul Cocco, but like if there's a spectrum.
It's the 70s, dog. It's the 70s look like.
The moustache and kind of little fro.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah.
Now, the breakthrough came just after the hour mark when Kvara's penalty was awarded and Empoli were unable to find an equaliser despite increasing pressure late on in the match, and the match ended with Napoli maintaining their position at the top of Serie A, while Empoli remained frustrated by the referee's decisions, particularly around the penalty. So, there's the thing about the penalty that annoyed me. I'll say this and then that's it. The ref checked VAR. So he called the decision. He's like, that's a penalty. VAR were like, listen, dog, you might want to check this, because it's a bit controversial. He goes to check it and he sticks to his decision, which is a rarity in football nowadays. And we saw it happen this week, but for this in particular, I found it extremely odd that he stuck to the decision. Because you for sure he thought it was a worse foul, and then when he saw it, he must have seen that it was minimal contact.
Yeah, it is weird. However, when you slow things down, you might start to see things that aren't even fucking there, to be honest with you. It makes everything look so much worse.
Pixels rubbing up against each other.
Yeah, basically. It's weird that he stuck to his own decision. Usually when VAR tell you, hey, take a look, that's a polite way of them telling you, you got it wrong.
Exactly.
That's literally what it is. So yeah, a little bit stubborn there perhaps from the referee. But I thought that Empoli were, from what I saw, much better.
Super.
Napoli had a spell toward, like in the middle of the first half where they looked very
like
dangerous.
60th to 70th.
No, in the first half.
In the first half.
They dominated the second half, but it wasn't dangerous. They never looked like they were going to threaten They never looked like they were going to score, basically.
I thought Empoli had the better chances, to be honest. I thought Caprile had an insane game stepping in for Red. He denied Empoli's 4 shots off target, and some of them were tricky. There was one in particular that deflected once or twice at his near post, and he got down really, really well. To deny, I believe it was Esposito or Colombo who had the...
Esposito, I believe.
Esposito, But Napoli's defense has been incredibly tight this season. Like we mentioned that Juve only conceded 1 in 8, saying that that's an impressive record. This is an impressive record, and they conceded way more. They've conceded 7 so far in the league, which is one of the least goals conceded for one of the teams. So I really enjoy watching the way Napoli are shifting. Because sure, it's a 4-3-3, but very, very often it looks like a 3-4-3.
Oh, yes.
In transition, it's incredible how you start seeing it like a transformer. If you're watching the game from the top view, the view we're thankful to get when watching football, like transformers, it's shifting, man. It's really, really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and he got his men. He got his boys, Conte, so it's possible now. He can't complain anymore. We see Lukaku has taken a little bit of a dip in form.
You know why, eh? Because he didn't join the national team. God knows what Conte was doing to him when he made him stay in Naples. God knows what he was doing to him.
You think he was...
Yeah, run, chubby.
You think he was overworking him? Like
one more lap, Chubbs. making him work his ass off.
It could be, yeah. It could very much be. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see him scoring again in no time,
Yes, but wasn't it great how Empoli's defense dealt with Lukaku, particularly Ismaili, man. Wasn't he incredible, Ismaili, in this game?
And I just like Empoli as a system this year. We wrote them off, to be honest.
We said they're getting relegated immediately. Well, I said, I don't know about you.
But D'Aversa has... I had them to get relegated as well. D'Aversa has picked up these players and given them a new lease of life, man. There's a lovely, lovely, lovely combination of youth and experience in this team. And the experience comes from hustlers, man. These guys who have always fought to stay up, like Ismaili and Jazi. These guys have always been fucking fighting for their lives in Serie A. Then you look at the likes of, again, Vazquez, Milan, on loan from Milan, or bought from Milan, I'm not quite sure, but a young goalkeeper with a lot to prove, something like that. Pezzella has always been fighting for his life, as well. Made a move to Atalanta, flopped, ended up at Empoli, had a terrible season. We voted him as the flop of the season at Empoli last season. And now he's one of the best left wing backs in the league, the way he's playing.
And you look at, Anjorin
and Fazzini in the middle. You're like, who are these two, man? Who are these guys? Fazzini's unbelievable. Anjorin played really well.
And you look at the lineup. I'm sorry to say, but if you don't watch football, you'd think for sure that this is a relegation team.
Yeah.
Because Pezzella, Anjorin, Fazzini, Jazi, if you haven't been watching football this season, sounds dreadful. Grassi, Viti, Ismaili, Goliochice.
But that's the thing. It's not even about...
It's not about the individuals.
Exactly, that's it. So perhaps you would look at this and you think this is a relegation team, and rightfully so. Historically, these guys don't make the cut.
But they're responding really well to this guy,
has implemented a system that exactly they're really responding to. And they're thriving, man, and everything's working really well for them. And let's just hope that they can keep this up, because it's not the first time that you see something like this collapse and never recover. We're talking Udinese a few seasons ago. We're talking Lecce.
Exactly.
They start losing and they don't stop.
Empoli a few seasons ago, I think it was when they had just gotten promoted initially. They had a great first half to the season. Second half of the season were dreadful, but they were never in contention for relegation, because all the dirty work was done at the start, and we were saying they're taking their feet off the gas now. They're chilling with it. It just seems like Empoli have really taken a step up this year, and it seems like for some reason the squad and D'Aversa just really resonate with each other. For whatever reason, it works. and it works really well. If I had one point of concern, it's their goal scoring ability, because it seems like when they score, it's quite rare, because they've only scored 4 goals in their first 8 matches. They've only scored 4, but they're not conceding. They're simply not conceding many goals. So the shades of that Milan team that had won the Scudetto and scoring 34 goals.
But what's your
what I mean?
concern? You said you have one concern.
Them going forward,
they're
because
not
on
scoring.
they are going to need to rack up a few more goals. They've got 0.5 goals a game at this point.
But usually when you prioritize defense, it's hard to go spanking them, and especially when you have limited resources. I mean, Colombo and Esposito are nice to have for a whole season. I mean, that they're 2 decent players. They come from the Milan and Inter academies, but you're not gonna count on them to score 10 goals each a season.
No, that's it.
That's
That's it. But goals are going to need to come from somewhere. But
if they can run a tight ship, they can get away with it. And their priority is survival, so they're on the right track. Everything is brilliant.
and they've also struggled to score. I'm sorry, but wait, is that correct? That they've only scored 4 goals? That's...
Where do you get that from?
an article. Through my research. 0 here, 1. That's Coppa. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've scored 6 goals in 8. So that's
Matthew Fenech, not Jake Fenech.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 second, because they might have scored even more. I don't know, this is getting ridiculous now. But
turns out they've scored 24 goals.
But they've had a really tough run-in so far this season, bro. When you look at their opposition, they've played Roma, they've played Bologna, they've played Juve, they've played Fiorentina, they've played Lazio.
How many? They lost one of those.
Napoli.
Well, 2.
They've only lost to Lazio and Napoli.
Lazio, yeah.
So, apologies, scrap the 4 goals in 8 games. That's simply not true. They've actually scored more than that, but I'm just going to fact check this so I could give you the good results. So the first match of the season, they came 0-0 against Monza. Then they scored 2 against Roma. They scored 1 against Bologna. They scored 2 against Cagliari. They scored 1 against Lazio. That's 6 goals in 8. 6 goals in 8. So we have 2 more, I guess.
Very good. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, sir. And just so you know, we're an hour and 15 in.
Very good, time-wise. So we've got Venezia 0, Atalanta 2. This, let's start with the lineups actually before I start ruining it. Stankovic was in goal for Venezia in their 3-4-2-1 formation. Of course, we've been saying that Stankovic needs to step in because he wasn't playing well at all, especially the last few games. Idzes, Svoboda and Candela were at the back with Zampano on the left, Sagredo on the right with Duncan, Nicolucci, Caviglia in the middle. And
I love how you said it like he's one person. With Duncan, Nicolucci, Caviglia in the middle.
Ellertson and Oristano playing behind Joel Piompalo. Carnesecchi was in goal for Atalanta under 3-4-2-1 formation with Derun, Hien and Jim City at the back, Bellanova on the right, Zappacosta on the left, Pasalic and Ederson in the middle with De Ketelare and Adam Lukman playing behind Matteo Retegui. For... yeah, beer makes you quite gaseous, doesn't it? Bjarksen was missing for Venezia.
You mean Bjarki Bjarkisen?
Yes, while Scalvini, Scamacca, Toloi, Brescianini and Kusunu were all out for Atalanta, which means that Darun must be swearing because he's playing centre-back even though Godfrey is healthy.
Literally.
Yeah. In the 14th minute, Pasalic made it 1-0 for Atalanta, while Retegui managed to score with a lob at the start of the second half.
120 calories only.
120 calories. Fantastic.
Farsons.
I think Atalanta's defensive organization helped them to hold off Venezia. They improved as the game progressed. Venezia, Atalanta started off dominating and dominated pretty much the majority of the first half, despite Venezia creating some dangerous opportunities. It was all Atalanta.
Yes.
In the second half, when Atalanta eventually did make some substitutions, that's when Venezia grew into the game.
Yeah.
That's when basically the substitutions of Gasperini failed to assert themselves. In fact, the guys who came on, I'll tell you exactly who they were.
Ruggeri, Quadrado,
Yeah,
Samardzic, Zaniolo, and Sulemana.
Yes, literally. And they lost control, especially when the Samardzic, Zaniolo, Sulemana substitutions happened. Gasperini criticized Zaniolo a little bit as well, not too bad. He said he gives a lot, he plays with a lot of heart, but he has to give way more than that at this level. Yeah, I think it was business as usual for Atalanta. They scored early, they held on, they scored early in the second half as well. They made things very difficult for Venezia, and eventually when Venezia managed to grow into it, it was kind of too late for them.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very professional game by Atalanta, who never really looked like they were in danger.
Despite that, I do think that Venezia put in a decent performance over here. I think obviously it's always hard when you concede goals so early on in the first half and the second half. But despite that, I still think they had an element of fighting spirit about them, which kept them going forward. They managed to get 12 shots away and they had an XG of 0.79. I still think that considering what a weak side Venezia are and the terrible start they've had to this campaign, I don't think they were god-awful against this Atalanta side.
No, they put up a fight. That's the thing. And they had their chances and they forced the keeper into saves. But the thing is, when Atalanta get going, it's so overwhelming and you look so vulnerable, man.
That's it.
You know, I mean, there have been games this season. I mean, the last one that Atalanta lost, I forgot who it was against right now, and maybe you can check. But Atalanta lost the game that they were really dominating and they were really suffocating the opponent, and they managed to get back into it and turn it around quite quickly. It was very surprising because when you're watching
against Como,
exactly. Yeah. So it just looked like they were being pinned back, but there were moments when Venezia managed to attack. And to be honest, defensively, I think they could have conceded more. It could have gone much worse for them. I have 2 points to talk about from Atalanta. So first of all, Retegui's form, he's absolutely incredible for the national team as well.
The goal he scored in this game was mamma mia.
And even the way he takes the ball down, the way he links up with everyone, he's playing really well. He has said that the Capocannoniere award is his personal dream. Okay. Do you think he'll win it this season? This is the Italian top scorer, Serie A top scorer award, by the way.
He can. He's top 2 to get it. He's top 2 to get it. In my opinion, it's him and Thuram. And are you already counting out Lautaro Martinez? Fucking maybe I am. I think Thuram will score more than Lautaro this season.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's been the case so far.
It's neck and neck. Him and Thuram. Neck and neck. I couldn't tell you who's going to get it out of those two.
I say he does it, man.
He does it.
Unless an injury happens, he's got no competition right now. Scamacca, he's not going to come anytime soon to contest his spot.
The thing is, how many times this season are we going to see rotation from Atalanta with Brescianini or Samardzic in attacking midfield with CDK and Lookman up front together?
That keeps Retegui fresh. Retegui has so much service. He's spoiled. This Atalanta team is...
I say he does it, man, Retegui.
Yeah,
I say he does it.
They pummel these smaller
That's
teams.
the thing. I made a mistake during during my prep. I kept on writing by accident, Lecce 0, Atalanta 6.
Yeah.
I kept making that mistake because it was Fiorentina for context, of course. But I'm just so used to Atalanta being that team to demolish their opponents. It was just muscle memory.
Yeah.
He can definitely do it, man, Retegui.
Absolutely.
I'm rooting for him.
Also, I have had this idea in my head that Bellanova, when he joined Atalanta, I was very excited, right? But then I realized, wait a minute, Atalanta
This ain't dinner, this is paint dinner.
Eminem, for those who don't know. Atalanta are a side that dominates possession. They've got a possession-based system, especially in most games. Let's say in most games, right? Bellanova thrives in a counter-attacking system. So I've been waiting for a moment and keeping an eye on him, waiting to criticize him. But it has to be said that I can't criticize him. He's been playing really well. Even though they dominate possession, it's true he's been a bit more timid, he's been less involved, and he's been less explosive. But he'll have moments on the counter attack.
I'd be pissed if I had him on Fanta. I'd be pissed because he's not contributing, whatever. But he's putting in clean performances. And what you need over there, Belanova fits the mold perfectly. You need a fucking tireless workhorse who's tidy.
Yeah.
Who's this guy. He's replacing, in inverted commas. In this game, Zappacosta was playing on the other wing. But he's a direct upgrade. You can say a direct investment in place of Zappacosta. Zappacosta, for all the Prem heads listening or people that aren't quite sure about Zappacosta's talent, is no matter how old this guy gets more and more refined, and his legs are consistent. He just remains...
And he's got a wicked shot on him.
If
Ruggeri's injured, he can put in a shift. And I think nowadays, Zappacosta's clear to like Quadrado, who comes on and looks absolutely terrible.
But they're looking for that mold. Yeah. And Raul Belanova fits it perfectly. Now, in a world where look at that. Look at his heat map. It's crazy. He literally has one job, running up and down that right hand side. For that, I couldn't think of a better wing back to play in this Atalanta system. Genuinely.
It's true.
In Italy.
It's true. Absolutely tireless worker. He's got 3 lungs on him. He is super. But yes, Venezia need to start getting some points. They don't look bad aesthetically when they play. They've got a few nice pieces in there with Oristagno, who came close this game. Nicolusi Caviglia is lovely. Duncan is pretty good as well. Zampano has his moments. I think they'll have a few moments this season.
Mm-hmm. It's a long season. The bottom 3.
Relegation is looking likely for them, but they can have fun at least.
But the bottom 3 are like it's easy to look at the bottom 3 and say these are the ones that are going to get relegated. Venezia could bring in a new manager tomorrow and they can turn the season around.
Absolutely, or a few players in the January market. Who knows?
They can. They're a brand that attracts players like Nani. Next game. Lecce 0, Fiorentina 6. Lecce coming off a 1-0 away loss to Udinese. They're doing really well. Fiorentina coming off a 2-1 home win over Milan. Fiorentina, full of confidence after this win against Milan, had Mandragora and Pongracic. That's certain, yes. They had Mandragora and Pongracic out
it's an
injured.
X, of course. That's confusing.
You're
second guessing everything now, bro. After that,
I've had a beer and a half, and I'm wavy with it, bro. Palladino was in the stands for this one, but he spent the entire time on his phone, and his phone was on speaker. It's hilarious.
What?
Palladino was in the stands.
Really?
And he was just on his phone the entire time speaking, and it seemed like he was on speaker, so he must have been consulting with a few people. Lecce were stuttering after 2 points from their last 4 rounds, and they missed Bonifazi, Berisha and Gonzalez, but Banda was back after a knee issue. Lecce played a 4-3-1-2 system with Falcone in goal and the backline of Gallo, Baschirotto, Gaspar and Guilbert. Ramadani, Pierret and Udon formed the midfield 3 with Patrick Dorgu playing behind Kristovic and Rebic. There's a 4-4-2 formation for Fiorentina with De Gea in goal and the backline of Dodo, Comuzzo, Ranieri and Gosens. Colpani, Adli, Cataldi and Bove formed the midfield 4 with Gudmundsson and Moise Kean up front. But the match began on a challenging note for Fiorentina when Albert Gudmundsson had to leave the field due to an injury in the opening moments. I don't have any further information on what his injury is looking like, because I believe reports haven't come out yet, but you can check that just to see. Cataldi opened the scoring in the 19th minute with a well-placed shot from just outside the box. Shortly after, Colpani made it 2-0 in the 34th with a rebound, marking his first goal for the club this season. Lecce's troubles deepened in the 42nd minute when Antonio Gallo received a straight red card for a last-man foul, leaving Lecce with 10 men. No complaints about that one either. Just before half-time, Cataldi struck again from a free kick, extending the lead to 3-0. In the second half, Fiorentina kept pressing with Colpani scoring his second with a volley into the top corner in the 53rd. Beltran added a 5th goal in the 60th after a defensive mix-up by Lecce. And Alessandro Parisi capped off the scoring in the 81st minute with a deflected strike, finalising the score at 6-0.
Very Moyes keen to win 6-0 and not get a single goal, eh?
Right?
Goodmanson had a thigh problem and he is being evaluated as we speak, while Keane sprained his ankle this game as well. He tried to hang on during the game, but they took him out as a precaution. I guess we'll see what their condition really is before the Thursday game against San Gallen.
Exactly. Before we discuss Fiorentina, Lecce, absolutely shambolic.
I'm surprised they confirmed Gotti after this. They had good moments with Gotti, but usually in Italy when you get battered like this, it's almost a formality to get rid of the coach. Eh?
It's almost like you owe it to the fans. There was a time when I think Salernitana had lost 7-1 or 7-2 to Atalanta, funnily enough, and Nicola had gotten sacked immediately after.
Yeah. And then rehired 4 weeks
later. And then rehired and then refired. It was crazy. Serie A, baby. But it is weird that they confirmed Gotti and showed faith in him, because in this game they looked awful. Now, it's not like Fiorentina have been a team that are on super form. They completely lost the plot in this game, Lecce. And they looked disjointed in their pressing. The forwards and the midfielders often closing down high and leaving a huge gap in front of the defense that Fiorentina happily exploited. There's a big gap between midfield and defense over there. And it's surprising considering Gotti is a manager that is very defensive minded.
Yes,
like with Udinese, when he was at Udinese, they're pragmatic as hell. Pragmatic as hell as a manager. And if you go out, you say, don't worry, Lecce, in my hands, we're barely going to concede. This is the system I'm bringing. You go at home against Fiorentina and you lose 6-0. Now, I don't like the culture in Italy that they just sack a manager after an embarrassing performance, but it's
the equivalent of a public lynching. This game pretty much went. Lecce held out for a while. They started actually quite decently. They conceded a goal in the when the first 20th minute. They conceded again in the 34th minute. They got a player sent off, and then they conceded, of course, from the free kick that got the player sent off. After that type of half, they gave up. Yeah. There was nothing Gotti could do. I wonder what it was like in the dressing room at that point, because like you go in, you're 3-0 down. You've got you're a man down as well. Like
they probably would have had one instruction though, bro. Don't concede
more.
Six.
Yes, but
don't concede six.
But it was obvious. I mean, Fiorentina were in full flow. Everyone wanted to get on the score sheet. Cataldi's like, I've never scored in my life. This is crazy. Colpani as well. You know, he's been dry. Beltran, he's like, people have forgotten about me. Let's score as well. And Parisi is like, fuck it as well.
Parisi turned into Messi. Yeah. If the shot wasn't deflected, it would have been an excellent goal. But a game like this is so important for Fiorentina. A team like Fiorentina they're finding their identity at the moment. Palladino started off by playing the 3-4-2-1 system. It looked embarrassing for a while until the players started to get used to it, and now he's shifted to a 4-4-2 that, of course, in transition still looks kind of like a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-5-2. But man, does it look better. It looks much better, and a game like this is so important because Colpani's off the mark. Cataldi, every time he takes a free kick now, he's going to be super confident. Ranieri, Parisi, these guys are just full of confidence after a game like this. De Gea's riding off a high of saving 2 penalties against Milan.
Comuzzo's doing really well, man.
He's doing very well. Comuzzo is doing very well. And this was the first time that Fiorentina players, in case you didn't know this, I'm going to give you some more confidence. This was the first time that Fiorentina have scored 6 away goals in Serie A since October 1966. Where they beat Venezia 6-2 in Venice.
Was Di Francesco their manager back
then? That's a great one. But I think like I could tell you what I thought Fiorentina did well, but at this point it was just a complete walkover, and the fact that they did that with Goodmanson not on the pitch.
Thank God he wasn't on the pitch, or he would have got arrested again.
No. This life would have been found guilty. Like. Oh God, what we're saying. Tough for me to say. This Falcone, I feel like could have been a bit better in certain occasions, particularly in the second goal. That was a rebound. It took him an age to get up, and I found that really weird. But two players that I really want to highlight for Fiorentina, it's the double pivot, Adli and Cataldi. Their range of passing is really, really good.
And it's often a midfield three with Bove as well.
It is.
But yeah, it's true. Cataldi and Adli offer very, like the opposite of what the other option offers. Cataldi is a metronome that can keep things swift and quick.
Exactly.
And Adli can look for those balls. Yes, range. Literally, yeah.
Range. But that's it for that game, to be honest. Lecce relegated.
Genoa 2, Bologna 2. Genoa came back from 2-0 down thanks to 2 goals by Pinamonti amidst their injury crisis. So for Genoa it was Leali in goal with Maturo, Vasquez and Marcandalli at the back.
Oh, wow.
With Martin on the left, Sabelli on the right, and Miretti, Frendrup and Melegoni in the middle. Of course, Melegoni only recently being reintegrated into the team. He was forced out of the plans a few months ago, seasons ago. He was basically forced out, Melegoni. He's still a young guy. He's not an old player by any means.
Not to be confused with the Prime Minister, guys.
Yes. Thorsby was playing behind Andrea Pinamonti. For Bologna, it was Ravaglia in goal with Posh on the right, Miranda on the left, and Chasale and Beukema as the centre-back partnership. Nicola Moro was playing in the double pivot with Freuler. Orsolini was playing on the right wing with Dominguez on the left wing. Jens Odgaard playing behind Santiago Castro. Dominguez, not to be confused, with the Nottingham Forest Dominguez.
Who used to play with Bologna.
Yes, this is Benjamin Dominguez.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Benjamin. For
Benjamin.
This is the list of absentees for Genoa, right? Gollini, De Winter, Messias, Malinowski, Ekuban, Vitinha, Bani, and Frendrup.
Not even one bad player.
All starters.
Not one bad player.
Maybe Bani wouldn't start.
Maybe Bani.
But everyone else, and Ekuban, I guess, on an ideal day.
But Ekuban,
but he's so useful. He comes on every game.
So useful. Yeah. Super deployable.
Even
you chose the worst time to have a sip there. The second you're supposed to speak. Oh God.
Ehrlich, Cambiaghi, El Azuzi, and Ferguson, of course, were all out for Bologna. Now, Bologna scored in the 37th minute thanks to Orsolini, who kind of came over a little bit of a negative period. It had been a while since he scored, so it was nice to see him score this game towards the end of the second half. And then in the 56th minute, Odgaard managed to get one back as well. Hadn't scored since last season, Odgaard, to make it 2-0. And
at that started. I think this was his first start this season.
That's true. And then he played again in the Champions League. And at that point, it seemed to be plain sailing for Bologna, who had dominated the entire first half. I swear to God, Genoa didn't even get a sniff in the first half. They had a little moment towards the end, but that's it. Like, no, not a sniff, not a single sniff. I noticed you yawned. I didn't see you yawned.
I'm trying so hard, dog.
Yeah. But then, towards the end, Genoa managed to create 2 chances, and they took them both really well.
Certain
Pinamonti scoring the first one. The assist came from Ekator. And then in the 85th minute, of course, a lovely set-piece routine with an assist coming from Aaron Martin and a wonderful header by Pinamonti, of course, to manage to get Genoa 2 goals despite their 0.42 XG.
The Rosso Blue Derby. Yeah.
Big chances, 0 for Genoa. Think about that. And they managed to get 2 goals. 10 total shots, forcing the Bologna goalkeeper into 2 saves. This was a massive victory for me, despite not being an actual victory for me. Genoa can go home with a massive smile on their heads.
This is exactly what Genoa
on their
needed.
Heads, on their mouths, on their faces.
Smile on their heads. This is exactly what Genoa needed, and this is exactly what Bologna didn't need. Bologna didn't need another game where they feel like they are superior to their opponents, but they still don't get away with a victory, because that's the name of the game for Bologna this season. No, it's being better than their opponents and not winning. They haven't looked weaker and won at any point, which is typically what makes a good team, right? Genoa, on the other hand, is exactly what they needed, man. I mean, you look at their form at the moment, because they've been plagued with injuries, and it's not the best thing in the world. But the fact that they were 2 goals down and they managed to get a win over here, they hadn't won, bro, since the Monza game. Ever since that, they've lost to Verona, drew to Roma, lost to Venezia. You're kidding me, dog. Lost to Juve, got creamed by Atalanta 5-1. Now they've managed to draw to Bologna. They have a few tough fixtures upcoming. They play Lazio away, they play Fiorentina home. And then at least they've got Parma, Como, Cagliari, Udinese, Torino. That's the spell they need. Exactly.
Hopefully they get some demoralized by then.
Hopefully they get some players back until then.
Hopefully Balotelli comes in. I mean, he should be soon.
But in January, right? He'll be coming in.
He's a free agent. He can come in before.
Can he? Okay.
I believe so. I'm not quite sure what the rule is, but we'll see. So
but it's exactly what Genoa needed, man.
I thought that Leali had a pretty good game. The goalkeeper, of course. Bologna's approach in the first half seemed to be shoot from a distance. I don't know if they marked or identified Leali as a weakness for Genoa, perhaps because Gollini was out.
It's probably the low block.
Or the fact that it's a low block and they've been so unsuccessful in penetrating that they were just having it from a distance. I really enjoyed watching Moro this game. I thought he was a really good
Moro
very shifty
impressed
as well, very good player.
Had a few cracks from distance as well.
Has a good shot on him as well, it's true. And yes, that's pretty much it for my prep for this game, brother.
How fun, even Bologna's last win came against Monza. They since then drew to Atalanta, lost to Liverpool naturally, drew to Parma, now drew to Genoa and lost to Aston Villa. And next up, Bologna have Milan at home. So, it's interesting. Sometimes a profile can really save you as a manager, right?
Absolutely.
Because at this moment, what we're seeing, bro, is draw to Udinese, lost to Napoli, draw to Empoli. We're seeing draw to Como, draw to Shakhtar, win against Monza, draw to Atalanta, lost to Liverpool, draw to Parma, draw to Genoa, lost to Aston Villa. How long can they keep on going? Only 1 win so far out of all of those games. It's quite fucking disappointing.
And it's so predictable as well, because it's the Italiano side we've grown accustomed to, you know? So it's very disappointing. I thought maybe that was a problem at Fiorentina, maybe with the selection he had, but the fact that he's just carried the exact same problem onto Bologna, just making them look like Fiorentina of last season, is so disappointing. While Fiorentina they just look so much more thoughtful with Palladino, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's maybe a bit of a reactionary comment to make, but
it's the case study that we have right now.
Yeah, but that's it, right? I mean, Italiano, it's true, his system was very good in the Conference League, for example, in a knockout tournament. He managed to get them far many times. However, in the league, he always left a little bit to be desired.
Exactly. No, you're spot on.
While here, Fiorentina seem to have, I don't know, man, maybe he's got more creative players at his disposal, but every goal is different. Every attack is unique. There's a lot of improvisation, and that's what Palladino does. He gives his players room for improvisation. While Italiano has a system, you've got to play like this.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's no swaying away from it. The improvisation is minimal, and it's quite rigid at times.
Yeah. No, 100%. You've got that spot on. The next match, bro, was Cagliari 3, Torino 2. A very end-to-end match. A match with had Cagliari initially winning, and then Torino taking the lead, and then Cagliari getting the winner quite late on. Cagliari were coming off a 1-1 away draw to Juve, while Torino were coming off a 3-2 away loss to Inter. The mood was kind of shifting at both clubs following recent results. Cagliari found their feet with a 3-2 win at Parma and a 1-1 draw away to Juve, while Jankto, Pavoletti and Aubert were the only remaining absentees. Toro went from Serie A leaders to crisis after back-to-back 3-2 defeats to Lazio and Inter, and now Cagliari. More importantly, they lost Duvan Zapata for the rest of the season due to a torn ACL, joining Sosa, Ilic, Shures and Savva on the treatment table. In addition, Tamez and Pedersen had the flu and Maripan was suspended. Imagine, like, you have the flu and your colleagues have a torn ACL. It's like how would you navigate that as a manager? You tell the people with the flu to stop being weird.
Me personally, at work, when I have the flu, they tell me, oh, yeah.
But no one else has a torn ACL. Like, oh, that's the reason not to go teach English. Like, for Cagliari, it was a 3-4-2-1 formation with Scuffè in goal and the backline of Luperto, Mina and Zappa. Augello was out on the left with Zorte out on the right and the double pivot of Makumbu and Adopo, with Luvumbo and Viola playing behind Piccoli. 3-5-2 for Torino with Milinkovic-Savic in goal and the backline of Valukovic, Kokko and Mazina. Lazaro was out on the right, Voivod out on the left, and the midfield three of Vlasic, Linetti and Ricci, with Sanabria and Shea Adams up front.
Linetti was wearing the captain's armband.
He was, for the first time.
Yeah.
Cagliari took the lead when Viola scored a low free kick from the edge of the area, surprising Torino's keeper, Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. The lead didn't last long as Sanabria equalized just moments later, heading in a corner from Valentin Lazaro and celebrating by holding up Zapata's jersey. A header that Zapata would have been proud of. He's the striker with the most headed goals in the current Serie A leaderboard. Torino then took the lead with a stunning long-range shot from Karel Linetti that bent into the top corner, marking a significant moment for the new captain. Cagliari responded by levelling the match again, with Jose Luis Palomino scoring a header from close range after a well-executed corner, getting his first goal for the Sardinians.
That was like ping pong, you know?
It was.
It was a really nice goal.
Ping, ping, ping. In a dramatic twist, Cagliari took the lead for the second time when Saul Kokko inadvertently redirected a cross into his own net. Torino pushed for an equaliser but fell short as Cagliari held on for a vital victory. Scuffè made a brilliant save in the dying minute, denying a close-ranged header. I couldn't quite spot who that was from, but he did deny a close-range header.
I just know that goal was forced by Piccoli, the Saul Kokko goal.
Yes.
And Piccoli claimed it.
He did.
He was running like it was his goal. I mean, granted, he forced it, so might as well celebrate. If someone's going to celebrate, then it better be him. I can't remember, though, who the person at the end was.
It was a great save by Scuffè.
An amazing save, come to think of it. Now I remember it. Springing it into life, right?
Superman got nothing on him.
Maybe it rings a bell, but I can't remember. Yeah.
It was a good save, though. Nicola won't perform until a team is doing shit, Like at the start of the season, he's ass, and then like Cagliari are really struggling, and he's like, okay, now I can be David and Nicola, and I can bring them back up from the dead.
It was nice to see them coming back at home. That was their strongest suit, no? Their resilience at home has always been their strength, Cagliari, so it was nice to not alone watch them come back, but to actually win the game is remarkable as well. And Torino have been, granted, they've dipped a little bit, but they've been a really solid unit this season.
They've been a real solid unit, bro, but in their last 3 games, they conceded 9 goals. They lost them all 3-2. Like, they're conceding so easily. So easily.
Yeah. Something has happened, definitely.
Whether it's confidence,
it's the Zapata injury, perhaps.
Well, it could be, but this was their first full match without Zapata. I feel like they're scrapping. They're allowing themselves to get into scraps with teams. And they're losing them. They entered a scrap against Inter. They entered a scrap against, was it Parma? No, against Lazio. And now they entered a scrap against Cagliari. And it seems like the system in which this manager looking for the save.
See who that was. I can't recognize them actually. Look, orange shoes.
Oh, what a save!
Fantastic save by Scuffè. I'm not sure who headed it. Yeah.
Dying moments.
But it's true. Every game with Torino is a scrap, and that's testimony of the manager that they have chosen. Man,
exactly.
It's Vanoli, right? Who loves a knockdown, who loves high press and forcing opponents into mistakes, and isn't really all about like building from the back or anything like that. The Torino fans are furious, huh? They had a good start to the season, so you'd think that they'd be a bit more patient, but they're upset. They don't like the way their club's been managed. They don't like the transfer market. They don't think it's good enough, to be honest. To which, essentially, you sell Buongiorno. You need to... You got good money from Buongiorno. Shea Adams and Coca aren't enough. Yeah, and Lazaro. You also got rid of Bellanova. You know, those are two key players we didn't replace adequately.
Two huge players.
Yeah, so it's only fair for them to be pissed off.
Just to take you through Torino's most recent games, they beat a red-carded Verona 3-2. They lost to Empoli 2-1 in the Coppa Italia. Lost 3-2 to Lazio. Lost 3-2 to Inter. Lost 3-2 to Cagliari. Now they go and face Como. That is just some quick maths. 2, 4, 7, 10. That's 13 goals conceded in their last 5. Which simply isn't good enough. Torino, if you look at them last season and the season before, their strength with Juric was that they were a team that did they have the most nil-nils? They had the most nil-nils.
Udinese
had the most nil-nils. Yeah. They had a bunch of clean sheets. Yeah. They were a team that didn't struggle.
They were hard to score against.
They were very hard to score against. And now the season's a completely different story. Of course, they have some more identity to them. They're no longer boring Torino who never score goals. They're actually scrappers. They're scoring a bunch of goals, but they're conceding a bunch at the same time.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. And the injury to their best player didn't help at all, of course, because that changes the entire way they play. You know?
Of course. And to me, it was like after they took the lead, they just failed to keep up their momentum. It's like they instantly tried to shift to playing a more pragmatic style, to which then Cagliari were more driven, and they managed to capitalize of Torino not bringing that momentum that they had. It was really interesting to see.
You see the way the second half started. Cagliari came out guns blazing and got very close to scoring. It was 1-1 at this point. And then Torino enjoyed a short spell of possession, and they managed to actually get the lead quite early on in the second half. Then those goals came back to back immediately, boom, boom, like that, bro.
Literally like that.
Those Cagliari goals. So I think they were shocked, to be honest. I think Saul Coca lost his concentration in that moment and scored the own goal.
It was quite unlucky.
And then they did well to create an opportunity that Scuffe, of course, saved miraculously.
Good to see by Cagliari, that drive. And also just good to see Viola having a performance like that, because when he's on, he's a real asset to any team. Piccoli seemed quite improved in this game.
I mean, Piccoli, involved. You know what he's gonna get, what you're gonna get from Piccoli, right? He's gonna miss good chances. But he also he's a player of moments of like he scores goals that make you think he's he's an instinctive, proper number 9.
Yeah.
But to do that, he must first miss 3 chances.
Exactly.
And with a team like Cagliari, you kind of get away with it because they don't afford better, basically.
Exactly.
That's the reality.
No, he's exactly where he should be in that sense.
Yes, it makes perfect sense for him to be there right now. And when he's on good form, he has better moments than he typically does. But he's already been the hero twice, 3 times this season already. Yeah. Granted, he's missed countless opportunities already, but this is what Cagliari needs: someone to be a reference point, someone to cross to, someone to supply who can actually get one in.
Yeah, absolutely. And
they have the creative options behind him to actually help him. Nadir Zortea has been playing really well lately. Augello on the other side offers balance more than anything else. And then you have Luvumbo and Viola, who are actually nice options behind Piccoli to create something.
He's in a good place. He actually could get more goals. Yeah. But over to you, bro, for Como Parma.
Another fun game, dude. This was the first goal for Nico Paz this season. This game. But yeah, let's get into the lineups. The game ended 1-1 actually. So for Como, it was Audero in goal in their 4-2-3-1 formation with Alberto Moreno on the left, Van der Brempt on the right, Oliver Kempf and Dos Sena as the centre-back partnership, with Sergio Roberto and Massimo Perrone playing in midfield, Fadera on the left, Strefezza on the right, with Cutrone playing up front and Nico Paz in the pocket behind him. For Parma, it was Suzuki in goal in their 4-1-4-1 formation, with Hainut, who sounds like Hamut in Maltese, on the right, Valeri on the left, Balok and Del Prato at the back, with Barnaby playing as the regista, the playmaker basically. Almqvist was on the right, with Cancelleri on the left, Hernani and Son playing behind Boni. Como actually have no missing players.
Wow.
They're the only team in Serie A at the moment who have no injuries. For Parma, Woyo Koulibaly was suspended. Of course, Circati, Osorio, Benedicak, Kowalski and Estevez were all out. Now, Boni scored that phenomenal goal, our goal of the week, in the 20th minute, and then late on in the 79th minute, it was Nico Paz who equalized for Como. Now, Parma started stronger. They used their width to exploit Como's defence, which led to Boni's opener, in fact, with Almqvist forcing things wide. Como, however, did make tactical adjustments in the second half, as they always do, with Fabregas, the Tinker Man. They pressed higher and they maintained better control of the ball and actually dominated possession. Paz became central to their attack, as he typically does, and his positioning allowed Como to equalise. Parma couldn't capitalise on their early lead, and failed to get a winner, even though what's his name, Mihaila, hit the post later on as well with a rocket. Yes, bro, I am totally blown away by Nico Paz. Every time I watch him, I'm like, wow, this guy is super.
He's an incredible talent. And
someone said on the group chat that Como got a 60 million player for 6 million.
Yes, and that's literally what it was. The turnover they'll make from him is ridiculous, and he'll most definitely end up back at Real as they'll exercise their right to first refusal clause that they have on him. But the way it's so good to have a player like him at the center of this entire project. No, because he's young, he's bright, he's super intelligent, and he just gels everything together.
Yeah, he gives you hope, man. When you look at him, like those players, especially the older guys, the younger guys, they look at him and they're like, we can do it with this guy on the team.
Exactly. And let me tell you what, even with players like Strefezza and Fadera, those three midfielders playing behind Cutrone, they each bring something so different and so unique. They're such a versatile three to be playing behind a striker that is a well-rounded striker, because he's good in the air, he's strong, he's good with the ball at his feet, he can charge. So they're such a well-rounded and intelligent team, and like we said, man, muscle memory. It's almost like they're not trying to come up with these passages of play. They don't need to stop, look up, where are my teammates? It happens, man, with them.
That's true.
It's simply happening.
I said the 79th minute. I don't know where the hell I got that number from. Nico Paz's goal came at the end of the first half, actually. It was so they went into halftime 1-1, and the first half was pretty much all Como, apart from a few isolated spells from Parma. And then in the second half, Como came out really strong, but it was actually Parma who grew into the game and eventually took control of it. The instant substitutions worked well. They gave instant results for Como when it came to, not results, performance. They improved their performance in the short term, but then Parma actually looked to be the better side for the majority of the second half. So this was very promising from Parma, because first of all, they didn't get a red card, which is already massive.
But they blew a lead, huh?
They blew a lead, yes, but they didn't lose, and they played to their opponent's level for the entirety of the game. Usually they collapse at the end. So, I mean, Como are one of those newly promoted teams who isn't destined for relegation. So calling this a relegation 6-pointer would have been maybe a little bit misleading or a little bit unfair.
No.
But this was a game that I think Parma against Como away from home that take the point at this point.
Yes, and I think they had a good game in that sense. I think Parma typically have good games, but even particularly starting the game without Dennis Mann, for example, and still managing to get an advantage quite early on, for them is key. And they played good football, and they simply came up against a very game opponent, right?
Do you know what the logic was behind not starting Dennis Mann? It must have been because of the
Probably playing with
international
Romania,
break, right?
playing with Romania.
That really fucks these teams.
Anyone from Romania, give us recommendations. We're going in
Yes,
December.
we're going.
That's all.
That's it. So a very fun game to watch. Lots of lovely moments. I also was impressed by Som's physicality.
Yes.
Big player, strong.
And fucking, did you see how Bernabé hit the post, man?
bro.
Oh my god.
And Mahal as well.
Mahal as well, but Bernabé's was ridiculous.
Yeah. Two very exciting teams. Two of the most fun teams to watch, I think, at the moment.
What an addition to Serie A, these two, man. What an addition.
What were we doing before these?
Hey. Also, young boys are currently playing really fucking well against Inter so far. It's only been young boys in their half. But are you done from that?
Was that an innuendo?
Young boys in Inter's half. No, but I'm sure someone thought of it weirdly.
Me, I did. Go on, the last one.
Verona 0. Hold on. Hello. Hi, Sandro. How are you? I put him on as well. You're both sick? No, I know you're sick as in like... You can't come in today. Okay. Fuck it. Remember you have your therapy appointment? Okay. Alright. See you. Bye. They're pulling the sick card again.
They're only available on the pitch, these guys.
Literally. Fuck it. Well, no betting segment today, guys. Our co-host just called in sick.
Which one?
First Sandro, and he put Nico on.
So they're together?
They're together. Real sick. But I think he meant sick as I think we know what they mean by sick. They're on a bender right now.
Yeah, they're fucking mental right now. There's no stopping it.
I can never see what they're gonna do next. Verona 0, Monza 3. They're ruining the show, man. Verona were coming off a 2-1 home win against Venezia, whilst Monza were coming off a 1-1 home draw to Roma, and here they got their first win of the season. Crazy. Monza had been without a win all season up until this point, and they had sat in 19th place with 4 draws and 3 losses heading into this game, while Verona had also lost 3, but they managed to pick up 3 wins from their opening 7 matches of the campaign. Verona missed Cruz, Davidovic, Freze and Harrui, whilst Monza had to make do without Cranio, Petagna and Sensi, and actually Turati was doubtful, so they were really close to playing their Primavera keeper, but Turati made it just in time. So 4-4-2 formation for Verona with Montepo in goal and a backline of Chachua, Magnani, Gilardi and Bradaric, Suslov, Duda, Belayane and Lazovic in midfield with Tenkstedt and Mosquera up front together. It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for Monza with Turati in goal and a backline of Izzo, Mari and Carboni. Pereira was on the right, Kyriakopoulos on the left with a double pivot of Pessina and Bondo, whilst Dani Mota and Caprari played behind Juric. This win lifted Monza out of the relegation zone and straight into 16th place. Monza's Dani Mota starred in the game with a brace, scoring early in the 9th minute with a spectacular volley from a long cross by Caprari. Verona had some opportunities, particularly as Tenkstedt was highly involved, but then Kyriakopoulos hit the crossbar with a bullet from distance in the 60th. Mota scored a second goal in the 74th minute after a direct goal kick assist from... It was a goal kick which Milan Juric flicked on in an aerial duel and scored by Dani Mota. And then Bianco rounded off the win just 5 minutes later, also benefiting from another Juric header, but some shit defending by Faraoni as well, who went down as the guy that made the error for this goal as well. He had a full opportunity to clear the ball, and he just completely mishit it after Juric's header, leaving Dani Mota clean through on goal.
Yeah, that was clumsy, but well done by Turati. He had to spot this situation.
Sorry?
Well, good job by Turati to force this entire situation.
Yes, with the long ball,
With the
right?
long ball, yeah.
Exactly.
He saw the potential from the get-go, and it's nice because Nesta typically encourages Monza to play out of the back. So having a goalkeeper who is smart enough to spot an opportunity, especially when you've got a lead, very smart. Smart goalkeeping.
Definitely.
And he's very vocal at Turati. You see him in his box, he's constantly applauding, encouraging his teammates. He's quite a
he
leader.
seems a bit more solid this year. I remember him at Frosinone last season where he was quite
He's young, bro. He's very young. Huh?
He's very young.
Yeah.
He's very young.
We're talking, how old?
What is it with keepers and long hair and me not trusting keepers with long hair?
I don't know, bro. Maybe you have some trauma.
He was a great keeper with long hair, bro. It was phenomenal.
Let's see. It's not gonna say Xavier. Bro, I think we should use your computer probably to look it up, considering mine.
It's fine. I will. I just want to pinpoint the impact of Juric in this game.
He's 23, which for a goalkeeper is bloody young. Born in 2001.
Bloody young. Every time you say bloody, I put on a
bloody young. He's bloody young, this goalkeeper.
No, Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Bloody young. You do a good Jordan Peterson, bro.
I know, whenever you say I do something good, bloody young. It's more like that. I don't know. But Juric's aerial dominance obviously played an insane role in this game, and you'd think Verona would have been a bit more prepared for it, eh?
But the thing is, Monza were so organized this game, and they took advantage of gaps left. When counter-attacking, Mota was super on the counter-attack, and even Caprari was looking very lively. To be honest,
Caprari looked really good, man.
These three, Juric, Mota, and Caprari really complement each other because they're all very unique. When it comes to Verona, I thought most of what they did well came through Tengsted.
100%.
I think that he was making something out of nothing, and even though I always praise Belayan, I thought he struggled a little bit to beat the press this game. He wasn't as smooth. And of course, you can't have a good game every single game. And in theory, he wasn't terrible. His statistics are fine. But he struggled to get the ball forward. And even Duda, they couldn't really progress the ball, which was necessary against this Monza side, I feel.
And it's typically Verona, they've excelled at one thing this season. It's at the very direct play down the middle. That's how they got Napoli on match day 1. And that's how they got many of their opponents. But it seems like Monza read this. And they were very, very tight off the ball, and Verona simply couldn't penetrate them down the middle. In fact, it took some long balls over the top to Tengsted and to Mosquera, had to do a lot of out-muscling and hustle.
This is the thing, when you play a two-striker system, it often feels that you're a bit of a man down. Because Tengsted and Mosquera aren't going to...
Especially with those profiles.
They were often arguing about who's going to press. Tengsted was urging Mosquera. Mosquera would look at him and do this, So there were two guys up top. And once you get past them, you've outnumbered the opponent,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this game ended up being a bit of a disaster for Hellas Verona for many reasons. Mostly because of Monza's patience, though. And Dani Mota's fucking... just ability to create something out of nothing, man.
It's just good to see Monza get a win because they've been progressing quite consistently, and I think Nesta has a clear style of play. He has a clear identity that he knows how he wants the team to play. But I know how he wants this team to play football just by watching and seeing their improvements. It's quite clear how he wants this team to play. He wants to build the ball out from the back. He wants to press quite high. It's a clear identity. Now, finally, we saw it result in a win. And hopefully, it's things to come. Because he definitely can't complain about the players that he has in his team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're star-studded by any means. But he's got good talent. Yeah. Dani Mota, Caprari, Juric, Bondo Pessina. Carboni at the back. Mari at the back. Itzo as well is a beast. Kyriakopoulos on the left is a weapon, and he can give you something out of nothing.
It's a decent little team.
Bianco is young talent you can bring on. Gagliardini and D'Ambrosio for the experience. they can definitely do something. They can definitely push to be around the 12th to 10th spot. That's where they should be. They're showing faith in a young manager as well.
Yeah. 10th maybe is a bit of a reach.
Perhaps.
Monza, the odds for them to win this game were 3.4.
Wow.
Which goes to show, man, where they were at before this game.
Literally.
But yeah, I mean, no Maldini, who faltered to a shoulder problem, I believe, early, like before the game started, because he should have been playing. But I thought that again, Mota will come in and become the star of the show.
Literally.
And Caprar, even though he's on and off when it comes to his fitness and his injury record, man, he's still a very good player. So I thought that when it came to the ability to create chances, they impressed me more than I thought they would. When I saw Maldini out, I'm like, shit, they're gonna struggle, but they blew me away.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's it for today, since those idiots called in sick. An update regarding the next episode, guys. Obviously, there's a very tight turnaround. There's football Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We don't have time to record on Monday, don't have time to prep Saturday, Sunday. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the 2 match days to come to an end.
Which is basically 1 week, so we'll be recording next week anyway.
We'll be recording next week nonetheless, quite late on, I think. By the time it'll be match day 10. So what we're going to do is look at the teams as they stand after 10 match days, go through each team, through the table, and discuss each team one by one. We'll, of course, run through the previous match days that perhaps you didn't get up to speed with because of our laziness. But it'll be a bit of a different episode and quite an exciting one as we look at the broader spectrum. We look at the table, and from then on, we'll start mentioning which teams sit where in the table after every rundown.
Absolutely. We look forward to it, to be honest, because it's a little bit different. And we get to enjoy the 2 match days coming up without the pressure of having to squeeze in the preparation.
Yeah.
This week was very tight.
It was quite stressful. It was. But thank you guys, as always. Don't forget to follow us on our socials. Show us some love wherever you get your podcast. And we'll catch you all next week. Have a great weekend.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.